Hey Ankita, can you say hi?
Hello, Vipasha.
Okay, wait a minute. This is Ankita Chawla, better known as Hustlerani. She is a TEDx speaker, content creator, and a marketeer. I wanted to interview her, and hence I made a reel and asked her, Dear Ankita Chawla, I would like to interview you. She ended up saying yes. This is that very interview, and if in case you want 3 years of good luck or just no art blocks ever again, consider subscribing to vaARTalap. Alright, on with the interview. Hi Ankita.
Hi, Vipasha. Good evening.
Good
So happy to be
evening.
here.
I'm glad to have you. I'm really excited that I'm finally going to get to interview you. And the purpose of this interview is sort of to understand marketing
Hmm.
and also to somehow help artists who end up coming upon this interview or watching it maybe consider marketing instead of just the traditional fields that artists are sort of pushed into,
For sure, for sure.
and also completing my assignment.
That's the biggest goal we have here, actually.
Yes. Okay. So Ankita, the first question is, when it comes to marketing, all of us have this sort of perception that marketing is like very glamorous, and we see the examples of like shows like Mad Men. Oh my God, like everything happens so quickly, and all of these decisions are taken, and it's so creative. How does like on the job? What exactly happens? What does a job in marketing actually look like?
I mean, if I have to answer that question briefly,
Hmm.
I wish marketing looked like decisions being taken at the flick of a lighter when somebody's smoking a cigarette. But that unfortunately does not happen. It is a lot like waiting for, your manager to first approve your copy, then your team members, then the boss above your manager, then the final client, then the client coming back with changes, then you explaining your idea to them, and by that, someone has already finished 5 cigarettes. So it's not so quick as we would like it to be, but
Hmm.
sure as hell keeps you on your toes and it keeps your mind thinking in different directions. And that's, I think, one of the best parts that I like about this profession is that there's not a single day where I don't get to think about, you know, whatever it is that is happening in routine in the world a little differently.
Hmm.
It makes you challenge your thinking a lot.
Hmm.
So that depiction of the marketing and the advertising world in Mad Men is correct for sure. Can't say about the rest of it.
Okay. So the second question is, if suppose I decide one day that, okay, yeah, I want to go and become a marketeer. What are the top three skills that I should try to develop so that I'm relevant?
Okay. First one for sure is being able to read the room.
Hmm.
You know, you read the room is basically like, being able to analyze trends, being able to understand what the client's requirement is, and
Hmm.
also, being able to understand if your idea is flying with the audience or not.
Hmm.
Okay. So reading the room literally means, looking at daily interactions of people, be it on ground or on the digital world, and analyzing it and thinking that, oh, what's happening, what's working, what's not working, bringing those insights back into your work, and then, you know floating it around with your team. So just, I think, having an eye open even when you're sleeping, just to observe people. I think the way, like, we as humans behave is the biggest insight for, like, a marketer to have.
Hmm.
Like, take the example of Born Vita. Born Vita's target audience is not the little 7, 8 year old kids that they show.
Hmm.
Those 7, 8 year old kids are always shown with their mothers because they are the purchase, um, they are the decision makers.
Yeah.
They are the actual purchasers.
Yeah.
They are the ones who will decide if Bonvita will come into the house or Horlicks or
Yeah.
Complan or whatever it is. So even though the target user is the kid, the target customer is the mom.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's only because someone back in the day had an insight that अगर बच्चे का प्रोडक्ट है बच्चे को थोड़ा ना बेचेंगे, बच्चे की
Hmm.
मम्मी को बेचेंगे, because
Hmm.
she's the decision maker.
Hmm.
And that's how it translated into creative ideas, and it still happens till date. Just one human insight. that translates into how an entire generation of products gets marketed. Is, I think, one of the biggest sign of a good marketer. And one second. The second skill that someone should have is to be able to talk briefly and not over explain things. And that's where I'm going to leave it at, to stick by my word. Thirdly, it would be people skills for sure. You know, when you're getting work done, not just like understanding the concepts of marketing, but these people skills actually are, being able to interact with your colleagues in a manner, being able to interact with your boss and your team members in a manner that it brings out the best, out of everyone, rather than being a hurdle for people, enabling them in a manner so that they help out and bring out their best versions to work, and dealing with difficult people. It's one of the most important things you as a marketer needs to learn, because a marketing professional always has a vibe of someone, you know who is an approachable person, an easygoing person, and you know someone like who is with an easy and outgoing attitude. That is partly true. You need to be that person in order to thrive in this profession. So these would be the three things.
Second, the third question is, how relevant is an education in marketing when it comes to your daily job?
So okay, I mean, there's this very popular meme which says that for like anyone who is like limiting the other person, that they only need to come from this background, like can only achieve whatever it is that mankind has achieved in that field. There's a very popular meme that goes like, yes, of course, you don't need shoes to run, but a pair of running shoes definitely help. Like the way they say, you don't need alcohol to have fun, but damn, it really helps if you do. So it's the same thing. I mean, of course, you do not need a marketing degree to become a marketer, but if you have one, it of course helps you back up your ideas in meetings when you're trying to establish why a certain message would work for a certain audience, because this is the model I would like to back it up with. Like, you want to showcase how you want to, position certain graphics on a diagram. So you'll be like, you know what, I'm going to use the IDA model, which is the attention, interest, decision, action stage model, where I'm going to first capture people's interest, capture people's attention, then going to take their interest so that they make a decision, and then they come to action stage. When you're able to explain your ideas with a backing that is already established by world renowned marketers from, like, the past 100 to 100 years, I think, like, sounding smart is a different thing, but being thorough with your concepts to truly understand that your idea is logical is a different thing. And I stand by the second one, which is why I feel having had formal education in marketing and communication has definitely helped me understand that, even before you get to talking to people, awareness is the first thing that is required. So you go step by step. It's the same thing as if you see a pretty girl sitting at a bar, you just won't go up to her and ask her to marry you. You'll get to know her first. You'll ask her out on a second date. Then you'll ask her if you can go for a movie. Then you'll get close. Then maybe a first kiss happens. It's the same thing with customer acquisition. You can't ask a new customer to buy goodies worth 10K from you. You need to first, like, go through the brand awareness stage. Then the customer will go through the brand consideration stage. Then they'll add your product to their cart. And then they love your product so much, you then have a loyal customer. Which is why, like, all these observations and knowing of the models definitely helps you understand these concepts a lot better. As I say, you can run barefoot, but a pair of running shoes definitely help.
It sort of maybe even helps back the intuitions that you have.
For sure, for sure. It's basically, that voice in your gut that tells you, no, this idea is logical. Like, if you try to map it back to what knowledge you have, this will work.
All right. Okay. Now coming sort of back to the art and creativity part. So I'm myself an artist. This is why this becomes a little relevant. So how can an artist or someone who's creative leverage their skills when it comes to marketing? How relevant is maybe an artistic and creative temperament in marketing?
I think if you're a person who is especially in the creative side of marketing, as
Hmm.
compared to just the account management and the client dealing side of marketing, having a knack for creativity, of course, is a leverage.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
because it's like anyone can press the buttons, but not everyone can design the code behind the buttons.
Hmm.
So creativity is just having that superpower in the room.
Hmm.
And the reason I call it a superpower is because, like, hundreds of years ago, there was someone who was able to come up with the concept of a half human and a half horse, right? And the fact that something does not exist and we're able to think about the same thing right now
Hmm.
is the power of creativity. Maybe your horse is purple in color, mine is brown right now. But
Hmm.
again, like, if your mind can work in different ways, and if you're able to contextualize what your brain already knows versus what is the problem at hand,
Hmm.
that's about it. That's where creativity comes in. Some people are able to bridge that gap and some people are not. The
Hmm.
ones who are able to, of course, come up with the most innovative solutions.
Hmm.
Like, chocolate chip was never intended to be an actual invention, it was a mistake.
Hmm.
It was a mistake in someone's kitchen when they were trying to figure out how to make, like, they were trying to figure out, uh, how to get the perfect consistency of the cake
Hmm.
batter. And when it came out, they just, like, discovered there was something hard in it.
Hmm.
They decided to call it chocolate chips, and it became a product of its own. So it's like only those who dared to try something different, and even if it comes up with a different result, doesn't mean that you're wrong. And it's
Hmm.
all about being able to embrace that approach, is what makes you creative.
Yes. Okay. So this relatively shifts a little from the marketing side of things and goes slightly personal, not too personal. How do you balance creating content and your job? Because I mean, it's really hard. It's really hard. I know that, but how do you
Mm. I mean, you've currently seen, I've pushed your call thrice now, and I'm pretty sure you would have been like, I thought I would be facing a seething Vipasha who was like, you gave me your time and you didn't even show up. So, like, my schedule just, like, spills over a lot of times, and
do
I allow for that margin for it to go haywire because I know it
it?
will. So I'm not a planner.
Hmm.
I don't think, like, creative people can be planners, but again, that's just an assumption I'm making. The way I'm able to manage it is by not admitting that I'm able to manage it, because I know for sure this is not managing. This is just like me wanting to this now, wanting to do this. Now I want to do this. Now I want to do this. Sleep, wake up, coffee. Now I want to do this. Now I want to do this. That's my life. So, but I would like to give people a tip to people who are working from home. Is that, um, it's really good to have something that you're doing on the side while you also have a 9 to 5, because a 9 to 5 is not, the dal chawal at home that you're tied to, and you, like, no, this is my bread and butter. I have to be, like, so loyal to it. Of course, you have to be loyal to it,
Hmm.
but 9 to 5, like, needs to be also looked at in a very functional manner.
Hmm.
Look
Hmm.
at your 9 to 5 as tools that you have. Okay, those tools should enable you to learn things. Okay,
Hmm.
and secondly, be able to practice the things you're learning, and also play around with those tools outside of your job.
Hmm.
Okay, so say if I am learning a new software at work,
Hmm.
where I have to, say, make a teaser for a talk show, I'm going to use those video editing skills to maybe make a vlog for my own channel someday.
Hmm.
Which means my 9 to 5 is basically giving me tools to explore my own skill set. It's up to me where I take it.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So what I do is I find out time before the job, and I find out time after the job, and then weekends are completely mine, which
Hmm.
I majorly use to shoot content. But of course, it's not as binary. During work, like, I know when a task requires 100% of my attention. All devices kept away, I will focus on it and complete it to the T.
Hmm.
But I feel it's also okay to find, those little 10-minute
Hmm.
pockets of, or, like, 10-minute windows where you can take a quick glance on your Gmail, reply to a few emails, get a quick glance on your Instagram, maybe post the thing that you were planning last night, and get back to work again. It's all about finding those 10-minute windows to get your own stuff done, provided you already have your content planned, your ideas panned out. and that's about it.
Hmm.
I honestly am a very distracted child. I've always been. I still am. So, although that's not the best quality in an employee, uh, I do feel it helps me multitask and think of multiple things at once. So, yeah, when like I'm working, uh, most of the times I'm thinking that, okay, you know what? I just had an idea for an Instagram post. This is what I'm gonna do. So, I mean, it's after a point, it's all about how badly you want to do it,
Hmm.
whatever it is that you're doing out of work. And for me, I really want to do it badly.
Okay. Ankita, the last question that I have for you. How
Yes.
do you make sure that your creativity survives? Like, there's this dialogue phrase that you made in one of your TED Talks that creativity is surviving in the corporate. And I really, really liked it. So, how do
Hmm.
you make sure that your creativity survives maybe in the corporate or outside of it?
I think for outside it thrives. Okay,
Hmm.
no doubt about that.
Hmm.
But inside a corporate, I also understand and respect the fact that if I'm working with a company that has been established for over 200 years,
Hmm.
of course, it has a few traditions and rules and regulations that have been in place, and I need to respect it and I
Hmm.
need to live by it.
Hmm.
But I also understand that if a company has been able to stand so strong for 200 years, I'm sure they're innovating every day,
Hmm.
which is the room I go in
Hmm.
and try to push boundaries in. So it takes a bit of shamelessness, it takes a bit of courage, and a lot of guts to you know come up with something, and not just come up with it but also pitch it and fight for that idea when you truly believe in it.
Hmm.
For people, you will meet a lot of people at work who'll be like, but this is how we've always done it. And I feel
Hmm.
that is such a destructive mentality to have. Of course, I mean, if it's a rule that has been in place, I understand.
Hmm.
But just because things have been done a certain way doesn't mean we could do them better,
Hmm.
right? Doesn't mean we can't do them better. Sorry.
Yeah.
And like that's a mentality I love challenging, for fun time. It's almost like poking a bear and getting a hug out of it by the end of it.
Hmm.
you know? So try not to be eaten alive when you poke these bears at your workplace, whoever is listening to this interview.
Hmm.
But make sure you have the courage to poke the bear with whatever
Hmm.
creative ideas you have, because it is a must for creativity to survive in a corporate. And I think that skill is also something I eventually learned in the job. In the first 4 or 5 months, I was a chicken. I
Hmm.
didn't have like guts to stand up to people who, were elder to me, who had already been established here and who were already doing kick ass work. It only made me realize that, I'm an equal part of this organization, and maybe they were first timers sometime, and
Hmm.
they didn't have a deadline that till 6 months we'll be very innocent, and after that we'll just start, telling people the way things are on their faces.
Hmm.
Like that switch does not have a timeline, so I might as well, start telling people, start holding my ground, and tell them that, you want the background back, but I don't think it'll look good,
Hmm.
and I appreciate if you trust my opinion. So I
Hmm.
deal with that on calls now.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think it comes with experience, and it will come to whoever is listening to this interview and still struggling with the fact that how will their idea survive. If
Hmm.
you truly think, and if you have that strong a vision,
Hmm.
first of all, create it on paper,
Hmm.
create it in whatever PowerPoint it is that you're pitching. Okay,
Hmm.
make sure your idea is so beautifully explained that you don't even have to do the talking
Hmm.
to convince people. Make sure the idea is that foolproof. And if you still need to do a little bit of talking, go ahead, do it.
Hmm.
Half of office and agency culture is let's get on a call. Let's get on a call. We don't want to read emails. So you will be called on a call. You will be asked to pitch your idea.
Hmm.
Make sure the idea is foolproof, and make sure you poke the bear when the bear tries to bite back.
Hmm.
And there it is. Even if like your idea does not fly through, at least they know you have the grit
Hmm.
to
Push for that idea.
ideas. And I think there's a very, very important quality in a creative professional to fight
Hmm.
for the actually think could be a good vision.
So thank you so much, Ankita, for coming here and for letting me interview you and for helping me finish my assignment.
Super, super happy to help you.